I prepared myself with an ice cold Dr. Pepper. After I took a sip of my Pib's better. All right, live stream. So, some updates. Wow, this is really aimed low or high. Where'd the comments go? Is nobody commenting? Oh, there we go. A little bit of updates, general updates. That looking good. Can't wait to see it done. I'm working on the wiring. It's tough because like all I want to do is keep working on the vet. But we have clutch kickers this weekend, so it's like I've got to take a break from working on the vet to work on the Miata to get it ready and go to clutch kickers. So Mr. Jibber Jabber himself, that's me. My nickname can't be Jibber Jabber much longer because my throat gets sore when I talk for more than an hour. I guess I shouldn't be talking for more than an hour. All right. So it's always hard to start. You don't want to start off too quick and then everyone misses the main stuff. Vet finish date, shop finish date. So shop first. Shop is about done as far as like the main steps are concerned, right? So the electric is in, it has power. Tomorrow, when we work on the Miata, we're gonna be able to use the lift, which is gonna be amazing, right? It's gonna be the first time I've been able to use the lift in however long it's been since before we tore down the old shop. So that's exciting. I'm really excited for that. So the electrician's there now, actually, finishing putting up the lights. So then we'll have lights and the lift tomorrow. So we're getting basically the base done, getting the permit finalized, getting all that done, and then we're gonna add the ACs. I don't want them to be all questioning about us adding the ACs. So a lot of comments about Cletus getting an old FD car. So I think it's sick. That car seems really cool. I've always wanted a drift car like that with a really high revving V8. But it's like, I don't know. There's pros and cons to it, but I think it's super sick. I'm glad he got it. I'm curious to see how he likes it. I mean, I would say if I was in his shoes, not having any practice in it, I would drive the Vet. But that's just how I am. That's why we're not taking the Vet. Granted, it's not done. But even if it was, like if we just finished the Vet today, I would not be taking it to clutch kickers because there's just no point. Why did you switch back to the old manifold? I thought you were going to use the composite one. Because I decided, why not? I hate when I answer spam comments just to make them go away. I get it. I mean, I miss stuff, but like when you say the same comment 150 times. I'm concerned with your seat placement. If you hit in the door and the roll bar, where would it go? It's meant to protect you. Yeah, but I mean that's like I'm back by like the actual frame of the car. So I have the frame of the car and the cage. I want to sit as far back as possible. I am going to LS Fest East one way or another. Hopefully with the Miata. It's okay, Jeff. It's all right. So yeah, hopefully with this though. Worst case with the Miata, right? So that's the plan. Will the Vet fit in the trailer? So the Vet's actually shorter than the Zafiro, funny enough. Having them both in the garage with bumpers on, the Vet is actually like a foot, maybe almost 2 feet shorter than the Zafiro, which I was surprised by that. I thought it would be a little bit longer. Someone said, Quit having a pro car, would you have a practice partner for the Vet? Yeah, that's true. Hopefully I think we'd be running the same tires. So I'm excited to see him drive that car. I just want to hear it. That thing sounds sick. I don't know how, with the solid axle and, I don't know much about solid axles and drifting. I hear hit or miss things. I hear it's really good. I hear it's bad. It seems like, honestly, none of this stuff matters that much. Like, you'll see two cars at clutch kickers on the bank. Fast car that can't be that fast. And somehow, the car that can't be that fast will keep up. So, anyway, that's cool. I'm excited for that. Excited to see that car. I'm glad Queet's taking drifting more seriously. I need to go down there and do some comp tandem practice with him. I think that's probably like the biggest transition he needs to make is, when we're tandeming there for fun, it's like you're better off straightening up for a second and reinitiating to stay close through the whole run. But in comp, it's like that's a zero, so you've got to drive different for comp than you would drive for fun. It's like you'd have to sacrifice proximity to make sure you don't straighten up. So that's that's just the tough stuff that you got to learn. And the run up is like the hardest thing to learn in comp drifting. So I need to go down there either in the Miata or maybe hopefully the Vet when it's done, and we can practice doing the run up together to the bank, because especially on a bank track, the run up and the initiation is like what's going to make or break you. You see it all the time. People will run up like super close and they'll initiate and they'll end up down on a low line. Like, it is so hard to get that right. It's hard when your car's slower to get the jump right. Luckily, hopefully this thing won't be slower than just about anything. That's kind of the point. It'll be kind of the fastest, not the fastest, but it'll be faster than we'll ever need it to be. So anyway, we got that out of the way. I figured people were going to ask about that. See the Turbo Vet and Jack Davis new E36. Yeah, his E36 looks sick. I'm glad he got that done. It made me feel bad seeing it though, because I remember seeing like pictures of the car, like bare chassis. I'm like, is he really trying to get this thing done for this season? Like, and then here I am, like my car's not even done. So yeah. But the Vet finished 8. Okay, that's what I was like, I know there was something else I was going to do. Someone asked what Ben was going to do with the Vet chassis. He doesn't know. I think he should build it instead of the Miata chassis he has, but he might build the Miata chassis, but he's just conflicted overall with comp drifting right now and what he wants to do. Any desire to still do no prep? Yes. I've just got to decide whether or not it's actually feasible for me to do it. You know, like, I don't know, man. I'm tough. I'm bad at traveling. Like, it's tough to leave, and like I like working, and I mean the tough thing is like when I leave this weekend, like nothing gets done on the Vet. Like, it's all progress halts until I come back. So it's hard to leave. You know, it's hard to like leave often for trips because nothing's getting done. You know, I'm excited at least when this car's done to be able to like take a break from cars with deadlines and be able to just go on a trip and not be like, well, I can't go on this trip because I have so much to do to get this car done by this time. Like, that's going to be tough. What's higher for the Vet? Nitto, of course, Nitto. I see you liking those street racing channel videos. I watch them all the time. Oh, not Nick. Did you even put a comment? No. Oh no. I need to do next time. Email me if you want to be a moderator for next time. I thought about that, but I forgot. It's too late. This is kind of last minute. I don't know why I do this to myself every time. Somehow, I try to be so prepared, man. I try to plan ahead. And no matter what, the last couple days before the event, I'm just stressing and like there's so much to do. Like, I'm going to do this live stream. Then I'm going to go inside. I did already shower, luckily. Then I'm going to eat. I'm going to sleep. I got to get up early, finish editing a video, and then we got a laundry list of stuff to do on the Miata, which granted, like, it's essentially ready to go already. Like, it's just stuff that I want to do. Okay, these are a couple good questions. Chris Williams, have you decided a color for the Vet livery? So, I thought I would do like Nardo gray with like red chrome gold livery, but honestly, Mike Power's car, NFD, if you look it up, it's an S15, and it's like a matte black, which I normally am not too huge on, but with like gloss black and white, like livery and graphics, and to me, it's just my favorite look. Like, I mean, you see me, I wear black shirts every day. I like black, simple, clean. So I'm honestly leaning towards something like that, just straight up copying his livery. Not copying his livery, but like that kind of color scheme. I really do like that. How do you balance keeping the better half happy over the cost of running your projects? I mean, cost-wise, there's no debate. Like, my money's my money. We don't ever argue about money. We don't ever argue, period. We still have yet to argue, but she's really good about understanding. Like, she'll try to get me to go do stuff, you know, like, hey, you want to come with us to the dog park or whatever, but she knows that it's tough for me. Have you bought wheels for the Vet yet? 0 foxes given. That's pretty funny. I hope you have a fox body. Just sort of. I've got some coming. Thank you for reminding me. I got to send an email. You sleeping in your camper? I don't have a camper. What's the difference in angle from the Vet to the Miata? So the Miata has, I need to measure it again, but I want to say 50 to 55 degrees of angle. At most 55, and this car should have about every angle kit rates them pretty optimistically, but I'm going to say 65, maybe as much as 70, depending on the tire. The difficult thing is they're going to have to run a pretty big front tire because of how big the rear tires are. They are huge, and we're going to have a lot of rear grip. And some drivers, like Chelsea, will tell you, you don't need front grip. And that's how he likes to drive. He doesn't like any front grip. I don't know why I've always liked front grip. I've always liked having some front. I like being able to steer the car, you know? And I don't know if that's because, like, I come from, you know, I've done a lot of drifting in the Miata, which has got good, you know, good front grip, or maybe it's just from lower powered cars where you had to use the steering. I don't know. I like steering. I hear people say they don't care. Flying school bus pin extraction tool. So hold on. Sorry, that was terrible. I literally had this. I had this 3-way one. I just didn't know that you could use it to put the pins in. I did on the one that was stubborn, but I was like, I'm probably not supposed to be doing this. I'm doing this all wrong. Boosted Lifestyle, hello from Canada. Love following the build. Thank you. Captain Cook, longtime fan of I-5 buddy. Do you have any livery plans for the vet yet? So far, matte black, gloss black, and white black, gloss black and gloss white livery. That's my flavor of the day. I don't know. I'll probably change my mind on that. When are you going to do more kart racing? I don't want to talk about it. I know. It's terrible. What boost level are you expecting to run on the vet? So it'll really just depend. So that's why we're going to log back pressure, because I'm basically going to go, I mean, if it makes a ton of power and still is not making crazy back pressure, I'm not going to do that. But basically going to go till it's happy, right? So like if at 10 pounds, the back pressure starts climbing and it's choking the engine out, then I'm not going to run any more than that. But if we can make it go to 15 pounds and it's fine, it'll probably be about 15 pounds. In theory, it should make, based on what some other people's cars have made on like Jonathan Hurst's car made 1100 on 15 pounds, if I remember right, and it's a 388. I have a 427, and it's a smaller turbo, 3.5-inch exhaust instead of 4-inch exhaust, and his made 1115 pounds. So it's possible that it'll make like 1100 on 15 pounds. Someone put a comment, do you believe the vet is done for round 3? Freddie, absolutely, 100%. I shouldn't say that, but yes, it should be done for round. We really don't have that much left. And like, if I was that kind of guy, I could rush it and just get it done. Like, I could get it done. If I had the exhaust stuff back, I could have the car running and driving in less than a week, 100%. But the thing is, it's just like, I don't want to do that. Like, you do that kind of stuff and you know that you're going to have to go back and redo the stuff. And for me, it's like, I'm trying to build this car right for the long term, you know, and as much as I want to get it done, really my only drive to even get it done sooner than later is, you know, you don't know what's going to happen next year. So like, maybe Clutch Kickers doesn't exist next year. I hope it does, but that would suck if I built this whole car and then I finished it at the end of the year and then I didn't even get to use it for anything, right? Other than that though, it's like the Miata is plenty capable. You know, the Miata is super competitive. Like, I was thinking about it the other day. So last season was kind of like the season that could have been for us, you know, and I didn't really think about it until after, but the year prior, I started the first season of Clutch Kickers with a 5.3 with a cam, right? Cam in the tune, E85, 350 wheel. Then I put the 6.2 in, I don't remember, I want to say between round 2 and 3, something like that. And it didn't feel like it made that much more power, but it was because I still had the cast iron manifold. So I want to say it made 400, maybe 410. So then in the off season, between season 1 and 2, did the long tubes, the dual 3-inch exhaust, all this stuff. And the night and day different car, way more torque, way more power, and it made, you know, like just under 500 wheel. And I mean, it was a totally different car. On top of that, we put toe in the rear, and that helped a lot. That added some grip. And then we switched to the Nitto NT01s, and those were like, that was really the biggest change. So we went from the season before never really having enough power, never really having enough grip, to having enough of both. And the car was amazing, and the car did super well. And we were extremely competitive that year, but you know, the car had been running for 3 years straight competing, and it caught up to it. And we had car failures at 2 rounds where we got knocked out top 64, top 32, just didn't even get to compete. And I realized the rounds we didn't have car failures, we either got top 8 or we won. So we got 2 top 8s and then we won one. Nud Nick, I wanted to let you know that even us old gearheads are inspired by you. 44-year-old car guy who hasn't missed one of your videos in years. I've been here for 6 years. That's awesome, dude. Thank you. You get you'll get negative comments and stuff, and luckily my comment section's pretty good. But comments like that, it's the reason why you keep doing it, and you have the passion to keep doing it and progress and try to do better videos. So thank you for that comment. That made my day. Your thoughts, driver clutch kicker season 3? I don't know what that means. Someone had a comment that I wanted to. Does the glass type in the car matter? Glass type? No. Cornwall has a mastered full pin kit. Okay, I will get that. I need to get that. Can you wire a PDM to factory switches? Read random comments now, but yes, Luke, you can. You can. That's the cool thing about a PDM. You could use anything as a switch. Like I have a fog light button as a switch. You could wire your stuff with all the factory. You could wire your ignition and all your stuff with headlight buttons or radio preset buttons. It's really cool. You started a Milwaukee problem for me. Oh, they're so good. Yes, I plan on driving US Air in Wisconsin. So, double your NA power at 15 pounds. Yeah, that's about what I was thinking. So it should make 550 wheel NA, maybe a little more. So it should make over 1,000 on 15, which, I'd be good with that. I'd like to make, I'd say, 800 to 900 on real soft tune, and then be able to turn it up a little bit for the fast guys, air the tires down, and make 1,000, 1,100. That's optimistic. It doesn't need that much, but it might make 1,000 on a soft tune. I don't know. When do you think you'll make the jump to FD, if at all? I don't know, man. We've talked about it before. Probably, maybe. I don't know. It really depends on how the other stuff goes. If clutch kickers continues to grow, and other things like clutch kickers continue to grow, and this subset becomes even bigger than it already is, it's I'd rather just do that. 1,100 is insane for clutch kickers. You only need 700. Adam said he needs more power, and his car weighs significantly less. There's really there's not too much power, I'll just gear it to where I don't blow the tires off. It's if it makes 1,100 and it sneezes it, I'll just run it at 1,100. What's the point? Why not? Why turn it down to 8 pounds? But we'll see. We have no idea. But KSR is going to tune it. That's my plan. I've already talked to him. He said he's down. I trust him to tune it. I would trust Matt Happel to tune it, but he's not here. So, it's kind of hard to get a dyno tune if he's not here. But I'm sure it'll end up with some Matt Happel tunage no matter what. It always does. Every car I have has some Matt Happel Sloppy Mechanics tune sauce in it. So how's the progress going with the new shop? So lights are going in right now. And then the power is on. It has power. It has service. Lights go in. Final electrical inspection. And then I can do whatever I want. I don't have to worry about this is going to fit the permit. I've been trying to, make sure when they do come to inspect for the permit that it doesn't look they don't question it. Andrew Mulrian, if you were building the ultimate track grip time trial vet instead of the drift vet, what would be the main drivetrain differences? That's a really good question. I think I might leave the stock transaxle, but if you're saying ultimate, probably the same from the bell housing back, and then a different engine, some sort of naturally aspirated engine. I wouldn't want a turbo engine for something like that, just because it would probably get so hot so quick that you couldn't do more than a lap. Someone asked about doing the 4 in the shop. So many things going on. I've slacked on that. I need to get that done. I want to get some people mentioned getting the concrete polish last time, and I'd honestly prefer that. So I sent a thing to one polishing company. I never heard back. So I do need to get on that, because I'm ready to move in, but also we don't have much time. That's okay. So I still haven't given you guys a firm deadline on the vet. So here's my plan. My plan was to go to the Riverside $50,000 shootout, which is I think it starts like July 7th. So it's like 2 weeks after this weekend, Clutch Kickers. It's pretty tight time-wise. That was my plan. However, the people who are doing the header shielding, they reached out, and it's seeming unlikely they're going to get it to me in time because of the July 4th holiday. Like, I could get it right before, but it's like I would need to leave. Second off, by the time the dust settles with Clutch Kickers, I'm only going to have a week before I need to leave again. You know, that's the tough thing because, like, you know, I don't have anyone driving the truck and trailer or anything, and I don't think people realize, like, a 2-day local event is really like a 3-day event minimum. You know, like a 3-day local event's like a 4.5 days. As soon as you get to out-of-state events, I mean, you're talking 4, 5, 6 days for a 2-3 day event. So, like, Clutch Kickers for me, it's like, if you just look at it as far as time that I can't work on the vet. So I can't work on the vet tomorrow. I've got to prep the Miata, mount tires, which that's a whole other debacle. My tires are late. I don't even know if they're going to show up. So that kind of, that's rough. There was a shipping delay with the shipper. So I'm really hoping that those show up because I have 6 pairs, which, like, if I get knocked out early, it's enough. But if I were to make it all the way, it's not enough. So mount tires, fix the car, do stuff, load the trailer. Then Friday, drive there, drive, Saturday, drive, Sunday, drive, and then drive back. And then you got Monday to kind of recoup, unload, edit all this stuff. So there's however many days that is where I can't work on the vet. So I wouldn't be able to get back to work on the vet till next Tuesday, and then I need to leave the following Wednesday. So there's just no way to get it done and have time to test it. And I've said before, I will not take it to a competition, especially not going up to Indiana without having tested it. You know, it's just, I'm not going to waste that trip. That's silly. Do you still have the sim in play? Yes, but barely. I just don't have time, you know? Like, I'm out here till 8:30, 9 o'clock. And then I go inside, I shower and make food or order food. And then I just want to chill. Like, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to go sit in a sim rig. You know, I just don't have time. I need to restructure. I need to get up earlier so I can get to work earlier, so I can, I don't know. If you go to FD, how would it work with the pedal box restrictions and the vet with all the modifications? So that's the problem. That's why I didn't build this car for Pro Spec, because I'm like, I'm not going to make it worse for the thing that I'm doing and I know I'm doing just to make it legal for Pro Spec, you know? So it just wouldn't work. I think by the time I would go, you'd have to have a front radiator. So, like, my only chance is if I somehow do crazy good in the car and blah blah blah, and to go straight to Pro 1. Otherwise, there's really no point. Like, I'd have to build another car or rebuild most of the car. Super sad you won't have the vet in Indiana. I know, I'm sorry. The Miata will do great though. Do pipes Cerakote, not powder? I've heard it's better. I'm not doing either. This company has like some special space age dimple metal with like silica and an air barrier, and they literally like 3D scan and mold your whole headers with this. And like, they did a dyno test with like a probe on the exhaust, and it was like a 700-degree difference. Someone asked for a live athletic greens taste test. I would if I had it. I really like it. But I'm used to drinking stuff like that. Like, I've been drinking green drinks for years, you know? So to me, it's the best tasting one. I mean, if you expect it to taste like a smoothie, like, you got a lot to learn about life. Wait, what? Why not hire a manager assistant who can help with finances, merge, and stuff? So, like, Josue or Ronaldo's taking over the merch stuff, but he's got his own business, so we're working into it. You know, I don't know. Maybe I have control problems. I don't know. I'm just used to doing everything myself, right? Like, I'm just me. Like, and I don't mind it. Like, I'm completely content doing everything myself. It just does make things tricky. Matt Apple said coatings come off. Exactly. And they don't work that great. This stuff's like, it's going to be a game changer. Well, as soon as I found out about it from Jonathan Hurst. I was talking to him at FD. He mentioned it, and I was like, what? And I looked into it. I'm like, we've got to do that, because that's going to be the biggest potential problem with this car. Someone asked if I would sign their fender. Yes, I will sign your fender. Are you going to be at LS Fest in Bowling Green, Kentucky? Yes. One way, either with the Miata or the vet. Ideally the vet, but I missed some super chats. There's the live athletic greens taste test. I don't see any other ones besides the $100 one from Nick. sorry. I mean, it's hard. You know, the the comments in the chats, it's like, if I'm on a tangent, I can't answer them in the middle of the tangent because then it gets confusing, but then I miss them, so I'm sorry if I missed yours. There's a reason OEs heat shield everything because coatings do not work, right? Matt Heppel. Any regrets in the shop building process? Andy. My only regret, I would say, in the shop building process is I didn't realize that getting the siding to go like vertical, the ribs was an option because you have to add ribbing to then attach it that way. Because I would have definitely paid for that option. I don't like the way it looks going sideways, but it's not bad. It's just I had no idea. But I was just in a rush to get the shop built, and I was just like, they were the only people who were down to do it, you know. Can we get a quick toolbox tour? Our essential tools to own if you're a DIY mechanic. I'll need to do that sometime. I want to do some more. The electrician just sent me a picture of the lights. Sneak peek for the stream. I can't click it. I can't go out there though, because then the internet will disconnect. It doesn't like if I go outside of the garage. But yeah, so that's the plan for the vet. The shop, we could get the final inspection tomorrow, but I'm not trying to have that in the middle of all the stuff I'm doing, getting ready for clutch kickers. So when I get back, we'll do the final inspection, and then my first thing is putting the ACs in. Doug, my electrician, it's going to come wire the ACs, and then I'm going to put the lift up. So I'm going to put the lift up in the AC. Would you rather build a 350Z or an E36 for an LS swap? 100% an E36. I'm not even a big E-chassis fan. I would never build a Z as a competition car. I feel like the Z's only place to me is just like a simple seat time car, leaving the stock motor in it. Know you're mainly focused on the vet, but do you see a new build coming soon in the future? And hints on what's you're pondering. I don't know. I was thinking about that. So I get so wrapped up in projects that like I don't even think about the fact that like when they come to an end, I won't have anything to work on. It's like my job is to make videos and work on stuff, and it'll be panic mode sometimes. I'm like so pushing to get it done. I get it done, and I'm like, whoa, what am I gonna work on today? Like, I haven't even thought about this. You know, it's rough. So my girlfriend mentioned it the other day. She was like, what are you going to do after the vet? And I was like, I don't know. So ideally, I'd like to do some upgrades to the green truck, the little green Ripper. You know, get maybe an axle swap, do some drag wheels, just some stuff. Make that car a little nicer. And then the 8.6, I have a bike carb kit. I have cams for it. I have rear end stuff. I really want to get that car back up, because right now it's not even really drivable, and it sucks because I'm paying insurance and registration on it. I have only driven it a few times, so I want to get that fixed. Finish the Zafiro, redo, and then from there, I don't know. Currently looking for an LQ9 and 4080 for my Cat-Eye short bed. Probably going to do a LSA. Oh, that would be sick, Brian. LSA. If I hadn't already bought the turbo stuff, I definitely did kind of change my mind and wish I did like an LSA blower. We are going to run Ethernet to the garage, CEEK. That's the plan. It's just we're just trying to basically get the bulk of the wiring done, get the permit finalized, and then I don't have to have them come out for anything else besides a fence. I'm just ready for them to be the no more permitting stuff. Someone said I was hoarding ACs. I'm hiding them in here for when the inspection happens. Not hiding them, but like, I don't want them to just be sitting in the middle of the shop. And they're like, okay, you're obviously going to put these in. Swap. You got a transaxle. No, I don't have any. I don't have any of my vet suspension stuff left. No prep build. Yeah, I mean that's kind of been my plan. Would be like after I finish this project and, you know, whatever, to do a no prep build. That's kind of, those AC units are unobtainable right now. Well, I'm glad I got mine in time then. Dang, that would have sucked. So, yeah, I don't know. I would think a no prep build, but it's like, I've talked about it before. I really want to build, like buy a no prep car that's like already finished. I heard your electrician learn how to wire watching YouTube videos. That's so funny. He's literally outside. That's hilarious. Do a drag and drive. I would like to do a drag and drive in the turbo truck and see how I like it. It's perfect. Envision Garage. Let us sponsor your event with ceramic coating when it's done. I do want to get my truck ceramic coated because it's like a new truck, and I've never had a new thing like that before where I've had to take care of my paint. So this is weird for me. I'm not great at this cleaning cars stuff, but like I have to. Someone asked if I was a full-time YouTuber. Yeah, I've been a full-time YouTuber for 3 years, ever since I moved to Ben. I did YouTube in BC for the first 3 years or so. I did YouTube. I was afraid to make the jump. And then Ben offered me cheap rent with a space in a shop, and it was cheaper than I could even rent half a shop locally. But I had to quit my job to try it because I couldn't. It was an hour and a half away from my job. So I finally took that jump, and here we are. It was definitely worth it. Taking that time I was spending at work and putting it into YouTube, like it paid off. LSA is too expensive now. It's cheaper to buy a complete Magnuson kit, according to Matt Happel. Kind of makes sense, honestly. Magnusons are sick, especially like the whatever you call the race Magnuson. Do you miss working at BC? No, not really. I mean, I miss the people and everything, but I don't miss like just going in day to day and whatever. But I mean, everyone talks about being your own boss and how great it is. But honestly, like it depends on who you are. Like it kind of sucks in some ways because it's always on your mind. Like I don't clock out. I don't take days off. Like I haven't taken a day off. I took one off like 2 months ago, and it was crazy. I was like, I took the day off. We went to Lowe's. I did yard stuff. Like it's because I got to kind of always work, and it's always on your mind. It's just, it's like you're kind of always focused on it. Whereas having a normal job where you just go to work, you put in your hours, you do whatever you're supposed to do, you go home, you pay taxes on a W-2, you don't got to do all the business tax stuff and all this crazy stuff to keep up with. It's a lot simpler life, for sure. How has clutch kickers evolved to the point where you need a full-blown drift car to be competitive? I mean, you always needed a full-blown drift car to be competitive. Clutch kickers has always been competitive. Last year Alec Onadale was there, and he's a ripper. Last year, this is kind of a crazy statistic. This is how good Alec Onadale is. He's a beast. I love Alec. He won every single round last year except for the two me and Ben won. So Ben won one, I won one, Alec won the other three. Like I knew he won three, but realizing that like the only rounds me and Ben didn't win, he won, that tells you how good he is. And I mean, really, the rounds I won, I just got lucky that he was taken out early by someone else. Are you ever going back to Japan? I would like to. That's bucket list for sure. Where's the Drift House stickers? I got to make some stickers for the giveaway. Oh, look at this. Finally got these made. Magnetic Koozies. I've had this Swag Off-Road one forever. This thing is literally like 4 years old. It's falling apart. And it is the best. I couldn't go back to not having a magnetic koozie. So we got to post them on the website. Hit up Nitrous Outlet and get a controller. He must be talking to somebody else. How do you cope with negative comments? Dude, that's a really good question. It's tough. I'm fortunate enough to where there's not that much for people to pick out about. I'm not... I couldn't imagine being like one of those drama YouTubers where stuff's just always stuff flying everywhere, I couldn't live like that. But you gotta ignore them, and everyone says that, and people will tell me that, if I'll get annoyed about a comment, just ignore it. I don't know why you don't just ignore it, but then they get a comment about themselves, and can you believe this guy said this? And you're like, now you see what it's like. It's hard to ignore it, and the messed up part of it all is that you'll remember that one negative comment that got to you. And then there'll be 100 nice comments and you won't remember them. And it's like, what is wrong with us to where that's the type of people we are. Tyler said would love to grab lunch. Well, first off, I don't eat lunch. I don't eat until dinner. But second off, time is, I got to figure out how to have some time to meet up with old friends and do all this stuff and go to the dog park with my dogs, with my girlfriend. Savage 13, ever since you blew up the first motor in the red Miata, your fab work ethic taught me a lot about welding. That's awesome. Welding is sick, man. It's like the best thing. Bro, you need to shower. You look stinky. I literally just showered. Why did I even read your comment? See, this is the problem. You respond to the negativity, which is stupid. You should respond to the nice stuff only. Like, what? That's what the people want that say stuff like that. They just want you to get your attention. And the funny part is, sometimes you'll comment back to these people and be, oh, my bad, bro. I didn't think you'd respond. Like, love your stuff. And you're like, then why did you just write this comment? It's so funny. Would you come up to Wisconsin, US Air? It is on the list. Ben will force me to go soon, I'm sure. He wants to go really bad. Oh man, there was something. Someone commented something and it got me. How did you and your girlfriend meet? She was friends with Kelsey. Some of you may know Kelsey. She drifts in Prospect, which I've known her since I started drifting, really. It's a long time, 10 years, 12 years. But anyway, she introduced us. That's how we met. What? But yeah, build-wise, basically, there's no reason why we shouldn't have this car done by round 3. And I definitely said that last year. There's no reason we shouldn't have it done by this season. So, but there's really not much. I'll let you look at the to-do list here. You're gonna have a hard time reading my handwriting. So, mount fire suppression. We kind of started working on that. Mount chill out system. That's a piece of cake. The Miata's been buried in the trailer. So after this weekend, I gotta pull it out, mount it, install suspension, axles, mount batteries. Can you see that? Where is that one? Wire chassis, we're halfway through. Mount batteries, weld flange, oil pressure lines, those are half done. Really the biggest things we have left is the rear quarter mounts. We've got to build some sort of mounting for that and to trim the dash and mount it. That's pretty much it that's left. Like, we got to build something back here to basically support the rear quarter and the rear bumper. Sorry, this was shaky. Terrible, but chassis harness is starting to go in. So I've got to basically terminate it at the firewalls and then run it on the other side. Probably got another 2 to 3 days in wiring. Probably more. Have you taken any welding classes? No, I never did. I watched a bunch of how to weld videos before I got a welder, and it was useless to me when I got I'm like, oh, once I get a welder, I'll know how to weld. And I forgot all of it because I really needed those little details more than anything, more than the gist. So it didn't really help me. So I had to go back and watch some. But really just learning, trial by feel. That's how I like to learn things and figure things out. Like, if I'm going to fabricate something, I don't like to look at other people's ideas. You know, some people say like, oh, I'll look at ideas to get an idea of how to do it. But I feel like that boxes me into like, oh, they mounted this bracket this way. And even if I do it different, I have that base in my mind, and I have a hard time like thinking completely opposite of that. So I like to just do it, do it on my own from the beginning, you know. How long do the power steering lines? How are you going to do the power steering lines? We already did the one. It's easy. Earl's makes like a power steering specific line and fitting for the high pressure stuff. It's a steel fitting with this crazy like hydraulic line. You don't have to crimp it. You thread it together. It's kind of tough though. Any ideas what you want to do? Well, hold on first. Keith, will you release some OG garage built merch? I should at least release the OG shirt. I just gotta find the designs. All the designs I've got have just been people, like awesome viewers who sent them to me. Like, I've never paid someone to design something, or not. I actually did pay them because I'm like, they didn't want me to, but I'm like, take my money. You did a great design. But like, I haven't been creative and been like, oh, I want this design, and then gone and got it designed. So like, I still have some of the designs. I don't anymore. Any idea what you want to do for a no prep car? Mustang stock suspension is the most budget friendly. Honestly, whatever I can find. It's really tough. Like, I'd want to do something different because you kind of could, because it's a drag car, you know? Like, drift cars, you're always like, you're in a box, essentially. Like, you have to get something that kind of has the right suspension and the right this and the right that. You can't really just kind of take whatever and make it work. You can, but it's never, like all the oddball cars you see, you notice they don't work that well. It's got to really have an angle kit already. So it's like, I've always kind of been confined to that. Like, I always pick cars I'm going to build drift car wise off of purely function. Whereas it'd be cool to pick like some weird cool car and just make it a drag car. But I have no, all I know about drag racing is what I've learned from watching YouTube. So I've got a lot to learn. And like, I don't know, man, watching some of Midwest Street Cars, like when he went nitrous, I thought it was a joke, or he got a nitrous motor for his vet, the small tire car deal. I thought it was a joke, but like honestly, nitrous sounds pretty cool for a drag car. My thing with having it on a drift car, like running a 300 shot, is it's just drifting. You turn a lot of laps, like you don't drag racing. You go do your run or your race, and then you come back and you chill, which I guess you do for comps. But like drifting practice, you just sit in grid and just go and go and go. And that's why, like, for a drift car, like, you want it to be able to cool well at idle, because that's most of the time it's cooling. So just having to, like, go back to the pits every 2 laps to get a nitrous bottle filled and stuff, that sounds terrible. But nitrous for a drag car, very simple. Sounds simple. F-bodies are legit the ugliest cars ever made. I'm not a fan of F-bodies. I don't hate them, but I don't. Will you be dynoing the car with Kevin or let Holly control it? Kevin is going to dyno it. Could probably let Holly control it and it would do just fine. Holly's legit. Someone asks, is the FD legal horizontal diagonal piece? Yes, it is. No, it's FD legal. The cage is FD legal. The truck would be a nasty no prep car. The problem is it's just so heavy. Like a full-size Silverado is a lot heavier than an S10. It's a lot bigger. A full-size truck. I'm just not one of those people that could start with something that's like never gonna work well or never gonna be that fast. Like, I couldn't turn that truck into a race truck, try to make it competitive, knowing it would never be that competitive. Like, if I want to be competitive and do something, like, I want to be competitive. I'm not the kind of person that just like can show up. I can show up to certain things and like, no, I'm not going to be competitive, and that's fine. But like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to put the time in, I'm going to build a truck. Like, I want to be competitive. I wouldn't want to go there and not be competitive. Someone asked, what's my ideal Ackerman for drifting? Dude, honestly, I could tell you, I don't know. I don't know that it matters that much. Definitely not negative. I want to say the Miata has 0, and it's all right. I think anywhere from 0 to +6 is like fine. Can't believe my Mustang. Yeah, Matt Apple's Mustang weighed 3,080 pounds. It's got AC. I bet you this car will weigh like 3,100, 3,200, maybe less. We'll see with me in it. It's going to be heavy though. For some reason, drift cars are heavy. Like I've seen Fox bodies with big blocks. Big block, nitrous, Fox body. 1,900 pounds. My Miata is 2,500 pounds. This doesn't make sense. Wait, was Boosted Boy Kyle in here? We've been talking back and forth. I need to go down there sometime soon. Help him do slidey things. But dude, he got that FRS done so quick. Is he? I didn't see him. I missed his comment. Someone asked if I was planning on coming to Southern California. Eventually, I would like to go to California for an event. But I'd really need to go. I need to plan out like a few days out there, Like, I would have to go knowing, doing a few events. Like, that's a long drive to do one event, or 1 or 2 events. Sneezed out that FRS. I know, dude. I was like, he just started working on it, and then all of a sudden it was done doing donuts. I'm like, man, ow. Do you ever plan to go back to the Tail of the Dragon? Okay, so that's another topic. I'll tell you about a car I really want. So, I'm getting old, man. If you told me 2-3 years ago that I was going to tell you I really want this kind of car, I wouldn't believe you. Absolutely wouldn't believe you. I think you were full of it. I'll teach you how to drift, Kyle, all day. But I really want an F80 M3. I used to hate paddle shifted cars, newer sports cars. I always said I would prefer to get like a $20,000 Evo and put 30 grand into it or whatever the cost difference is than buy the more expensive car and have to leave it stock. But what I'm realizing is that the stock car is going to be pretty much better than whatever I could do to the Evo as a whole, like as a good, comfortable daily driver, as just a composed, fast car. Like, they engineered that car with millions of dollars of R&D. They're going to do way better than me just like slapping something together. So I really want an F80 M3, not to drift. And you know, the crazier thing is my only real deal breaker on buying one is it has to be DCT. It cannot be a manual. I don't want a manual, which sounds crazy, right? Like, I have a bunch of manual cars. You would think, why wouldn't you want a manual? Well, because I want, the part of what I want from that car is that new technology, like having a proper dual clutch transmission. Like, if you don't know, those cars, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's basically a manual transmission that's automatically shifted. Whereas a lot of cars that even have paddles, they're auto. They have a torque converter, they're automatic. Like, the weirdest thing, because Ben just got one, right? And he knew I would want one. And I wanted one right after he got it, but he left me the car for the weekend because he flew out the airport by me, and I was hooked, right? But you don't put it in park. It's really weird. You have to leave it like in drive and then turn it off with the e-brake on. Taylor, are you a fan of any fandoms, Star Wars or any video game series that's not racing, drifting related? No. I couldn't think of anything, to be honest. Thoughts on the Fronius Welder? The Fronius Welders, I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't have a ton of, like, I haven't done a ton of time on, like, an expensive Miller or whatever, but they're amazing, in my opinion. The thing for me with Fronius Welders is literally every little thing you touch. Like, you could tear that machine apart and look at any piece of it, and it's going to be top-notch quality. It's not like, oh wow, they made it look really nice and did these features, but they put this junk little wheel in it that's gonna break. Like, everything is so nice. Apple said, what was it? Where is it? Basically, like a 430 cubic inch LS with a BMW DCT. In hindsight, I really wish I did a DCT trans in the Safiro instead of putting the T56 in, because you can get an electronic clutch pedal. You can get like the sequential shifter. I just think it would have been cooler for what that car is, but I didn't think about it until I'd already bought the T56. So nitrous cars are normally light as well, see-through like Justin has. The Idea engine super back. He kind of sold me, Big Chief Justin, he sold me on C3s. I like that guy, man. He's like I kind of am in some ways. Like, I try to find the things that people aren't choosing, and like, that they don't know is good, you know, like the hidden gems. I don't know, and him trying to get the most out of his combination, like, that's what he's all about. Like, I'm not gonna go buy the top of the line popular motor. Like, I'm gonna make my combo work better, and that's been me with the Miata for the past several years. So, you know, it's just that's cool to me. I like that. The funny thing is, if you're watching any drag racing stuff, Billy the Kid Street Racing channel, it's like literally the same thing as me right now. Like, his S10 is my Miata, and then the Nova he's building is the Vet. Like, we both got by and been competitive in like pretty budget machines, you know? And that's always kind of been the thing. Like, oh wow, they're doing pretty well for what they have. But then now we're both building like full other extremes, you know, of like just the crazy, you know, this car is like the craziest thing I could ever dream up, you know? So it's just kind of funny to see, because he just got his done, and seeing it's literally like the same thing, but him drag racing, me drifting. But that's why, like, I would honestly kind of feel like an idiot for building this car if I hadn't put my time in the Miata. You know, I put my time in. Where are you dumping the exhaust on the Vet? Out the back, after the axle. Someone said, aren't you worried about? Are you worried about too many flammable hot fluids in the cabinet? In the cabin, seems odd placement. Even what? There's nothing flammable in the cabin. There's no fluids. It's water. Water is not flammable. That's the only thing in the cabin. Brake fluid. there's nothing else in there. I didn't put the dry sump tank in there or anything. Um, oh, but I feel like I put my time in with the Miata. You know, like I didn't just, because for me, I was against comp drifting. I had gone with Chelsea to an FD round. Well, I drove a car up there with my buddy Grafton. We both were friends with Chelsea. Grafton was helping him out on his team. So I stayed at the lake house with him. That was my first FD event, was going when Denofa was driving, one of his first years. It might have been his second, or I think second year, because he had the E46. But seeing it firsthand, and I'm like, this dude's a phenomenal driver, and he is like struggling to make this happen. You know, like how am I going to do this? So that really turned me off from comp drifting for a long time, and I just wasn't had no intention of doing it. But I started going to Lone Star events. You know, Aaron got me and Adam to go out, and I started going out there, and I was like, you know, I really want to come out to Texas and bring my own car. I love the vibe of the events. Like, it was a blast. I have like a whole second drift family in Texas, you know? So I took the Miata. I was like, I might as well do Pro-Am. Like, I'm here, you know? And we did well. We won the first one we did at Police Academy, which everyone was like, oh, well, it's a small track, and you're in a Miata, and you're on these tires, so like, yada, yada, yada. Everyone tried to take it away from me, and I was like, fair enough. So we came up with a tire that everyone felt was fair, because me running 15s, at the time I couldn't even get Kendas, which was what everyone was running. Plus they were running a 265, 35, 18, like that's a massive tire. I got to run a little 15. So anyway, I ended up running some 225s. We went to TMS, Texas Motor Speedway, really fast track. We were entering at like 110. And I've entered at like 120 at PBIR, and it's nothing to write home about. You enter, you pull the e-brake, like it's very safe. You know, it doesn't feel risky, but TMS, you clutch kick at like 100 miles an hour. It's probably the wildest track I've driven in that sense. Like literally fourth gear forward, all the way to the entry, and just clutch kick in. Craziest thing. But anyway, no one thought I would win there because I made 350 wheel, and there's a bunch of people who made 800, and I managed to win there. I did get lucky in the finals, and then went to Clutch Kickers, made it to the finals after a bunch of issues with the power steering. I had this electric steering column, and I driven it at the Freedom Factory for like the opening video when Quetus first got it, and he did the reveal video. I drifted it then, and it didn't feel great, but I was like, I don't know. And then I think I drifted it somewhere else, and it didn't feel great, but when I went to Clutch Kickers, I realized how bad it was, because there's back-to-back transitions. I barely made a lap. I barely qualified. Literally, I could hardly link the track. That night, I pulled the electric motor out of the column, ran manual steering, which the car was not set up for. Like, I had the smaller steering wheel, I had big front tires, whatever, and then made it to the finals the next day. That was kind of crazy. Because I'll tell people not to get that column, and I'll, hey man, it's bad. It doesn't self-steer. And they're like, oh yeah, excuses. I'm like, I literally went from having it one day to the next. I went from not linking the track to the finals. Like, obviously it wasn't working. It's not just me making excuses, So anyway, what I was getting at, this long jibber jabber tangent, is if at that point I had been like, okay, I need a crazier car, and just built a whole new car, I'd feel like an idiot. Like, why did you do this? But, I took the time, I upgraded the Miata slowly over time, found little pieces of performance here and there, and I still think the Miata is plenty competitive. It was just to really do any more to it, it was all big jumps. Like, a dog box is $8,000. Like, why put a dog box in this car if in a year I kind of find the limits of the car again anyway? And then that was kind of the whole reason to move to this. But this has snowballed, for sure. I mean, if you go back and watch the video when I got this car, the plan was to strip it down, which we ended up doing anyway, sell the engine, the intake manifold, sell most of the fancy stuff, and then build it with like a 600 horsepower NA motor, and here we are with the billet intake and all this stuff, but it's pretty fun. It's cool. In search of a new comp build, did you consider an NC Miata? I didn't, but I think I should have. But I'm kind of, when I decided to build a new car, I didn't, it's cool to be the guy that's, won around in a Miata that's basic. It's cool to have that, but I don't want, it's cool to have that qualification. Like, oh, well, you only made it to the top 8, but like you did it in a Miata. Like, it's nice, but like I don't want there to be any but. Like, it's either I did well or I didn't. There's no I don't want to have a handicap. Like, oh, you did well, but this car, whatever. Like, he's at a disadvantage, jeez. So, whatever. But that was kind of the point. Like, I wanted to build a normal car. I thought about doing something weird. I was actually considering a Z4 M Coupe. I was going to buy Dimitri's old chassis. What is the tool or machine that you crave the most that you don't have? A mill or a lathe? One of the two. Either one. Both. Probably a mill. I think I would use a mill. I don't know. I can't decide whether I'd use a mill or a lathe more, but both of those are high on my priority list. I think I missed a super chat. I guess I'm more concerned the radiator lines could malfunction, brake fluid in a crunch zone. That's pretty unlikely. The radiator lines is a thing. That's why they have fire sleeve. Pretty much every competition drift car with a rear mount radiator, the lines run through the cabin because there's really nowhere else to run them. Like, there's literally nowhere else to run them. You couldn't run them in the tunnel. Buy some Dr. Pepper on me, Ryan Higgins. Thank you. Oh, man. Off-road car build. I really want to buy a Sierra car. There's a couple things. Like, I wish I could justify Sloppy would be a good mod. That's a good point. I wonder if I can make him a mod. I forgot how to do this. Add moderator. Oh, no. I just added this random person as a moderator. Oh, man. Well, hopefully they're not bad. Sierra car. I don't know if you've seen those. Those are pretty sweet. A Sierra car I think would be awesome because you could do like on-road with on-road tires and then go mob dirt roads, sequential trans, street bike motor. That sounds amazing. But then also one of those little jet boats. Like, if I could afford 60 grand to just pay someone to build me one, that would be, I want one. So to me, that is the ideal boat. Like, I want one so bad. Now, of course, I can't find a Matt Happel comment, and I made some other person the moderator. Do me proud, Mr. Whoever I made a moderator. Can I change that? Is there a way to change that? I don't know how that works. Who has the wrench? Why not just boost power in the Miata? Turek has proven short wheelbase cars can be competitive. That car's not that short of a wheelbase. The Miata is way shorter than any other car. It's like 88 inches versus like other short car being like 95, 96. The problem too with the Miata is the tires. Like, you can't really run anything bigger than a 15. You can run a 16, but there's even less options. You can undo the mod if they chat again. I don't even remember who it was. Oh, there's Mavel. Dr. Pepper is better. There we go. He's the moderator now. Turek's car is huge. Yeah, actually, the new Supras are really short. I didn't know that. That's like probably the shortest car in FD. But it's not just the wheelbase. Like, I've never complained about the wheelbase. It's just you can't fit, like, everyone in FD runs an 18 in the rear. Like, a 16 is big on a Miata. I tried 17s and it didn't really work. So you can't run 18s. That's why I couldn't use it for ProSpec when I was considering doing that. And this build started, which turned out to be a build I can't do ProSpec with anyway, but, just sipping my pib. What happened to the NBS? Would that be the truck? They did the short version of the build right after I watched it. What a cool car. The Formula Supra. Oh, yeah, dude. Brian Turek's Formula Supra. If I could build any car, if you ask me, like, dream car, that build, different chassis. Like, not the exact same, but that concept, right? Like, high revving, Judd V8, or is it V10? Judd V10, like, dry sump, sequential, like that in, I don't know what I would put it, what I'd want to put it in. Like, maybe a E36, maybe an S chassis, like an S13 coupe, but that'd be kind of silly. Something like that would be my dream build. If you haven't seen that build, man, you should go watch it. Sloppy has the wrench. I didn't see anybody else with the wrench, though. Does that mean they're a moderator? I mean, I made him a moderator. What are you doing now that you can't cut the EGT sensors? I'm just going to run into the firewall with a grommet. What's the plans with the RB20 out of the Saphira? I think this guy's asked this question a lot. I sold it years ago now. Probably 2 years ago. Someone bought it. Any chance you would do a motorcycle build for track days? I had a Grom for a short time, but the one thing I've learned is, at least for me right now, I can't really do two motorsports, you know, being the mechanic, the filmer, the transporter, like trying to do, I mean, I could do two motorsports, but it's just hard. And it was hard to just go go-karting. And that's a me thing, right? Like, I'm a bit of a homebody. You know, I have a hard time, you know, wanting to, I don't know how, like, Koozies does it. Like, I saw the video on the new car, and he said he's getting back Friday, which there's practice Friday, there's paid practice, and then driving the car Saturday. I'm like, dude, I couldn't do that. I'd be like, that's too much all at one time. I don't know how he does it, man. That's crazy to me. Like, go to a drag and drive all week. Like, drag and drive's a crazy experience in general, and then come back and go compete at a drift event. Like, that's a lot. That's a lot. I don't know how he does it. Hopefully my tires show up. That's our big dilemma right now. They shipped, but we won't know the tracking till tomorrow. So I'm hoping they get to the hub tomorrow and I can go pick them up and we can mount tires. What bottom end LS combo did you use in the single cab? I exploded the LS3 in my Camaro and need a boost ready motor. I did a 6-liter with like Texas speed drop-in rods and pistons. Pretty easy build. Seems to be solid. I mean, I haven't put enough time on it to say like, oh yeah, it's ready to go. It's super durable. Are you ducting the radiator? Yeah, kinda, but it's not really gonna do anything because the fans are on the other side. So I need to get a Lexan hatch, cut holes in it for airflow. I mean, really in a drift car, like, we talked about it a minute ago, but like all your cooling is from fans. Like 95% of the time a drift car is running, it is idling in grid. Then you go to a 30-second run, like the airflow is not going to do a whole lot during that 30 seconds. Like, if you can get your car to cool at idle, that is the biggest thing. So that's why like fans are really, that's why we're doing like little blower fans in the corners of the engine bay, where I'm gonna like duct up to like by the headers to draw air through. I've got hood vents too to put on, draw air through the hood vents and out the engine bay. Because with the rear mount radiator, now you don't have radiator fans in your engine bay moving some air. Are you getting HGK composite body panels that last a lifetime? I thought about it, getting the carbon Kevlar stuff. It's pretty affordable for carbon Kevlar. People are like, oh, it's affordable, it's expensive. But it is expensive, but I thought it would be a lot more. But the problem is the shipping. So every body panel but doors and rockers for this car. So like hood, roof, hatch with Lexan, front bumper, rear bumper, fenders, quarters, hood, I think I said that, it was like $7,000 for carbon Kevlar. I'm like, that's not bad at all, but shipping $3,500 because it's got to come from, is it Lithuania where HGK is? So that's really the hard part. And it's like, if you're going to buy it, you go down that rabbit hole. If I'm going to order it and pay shipping, well, like, might as well order a bunch of it. And still thinking of selling the Pulsar. Yes, I have it for sale right now, actually. Can you rate Josue's AC coverage from 1 to 10? It was definitely a 10. Someone came up with a nickname for Josue because he's been doing all the hoses. That's one of those projects where I'm like, you can do that. And it's called a hose sway. I was like, I'm getting you a name tag. What's your opinion on Chris Forsberg GTI swapped Altima? That is one of the coolest cars too. That car is incredible. Tube chassis, 4-door, 4-seat, like drift car that makes 1,000 horsepower, like tucked. That and the Formula Super are probably, to me, the two coolest builds I've ever seen as far as like motorsportsy stuff. List their names. I am outing people currently. List their names. What does that mean? Lean to cut. I'd get a stupid question. Can you run a quarter mile in the vet as it sits? Yeah. I mean, it would. Drift cars, comp drift cars are basically set up like drag cars. You'd want to take the toe out probably, but they're pretty much set up like drag cars anyway. Like they're meant to squat and dig and like it would. I'll try to drag it. Would you consider time-lapse montages for videos? What does that even mean? That's what my videos are. What are your thoughts on Adam's four-rotor super build? I don't know anything about it, but that sounds really cool. I was just talking to him too. He has so many builds though; it's so hard to keep up. Man, there's Sloppy Mechanics is freaking doing the thing, but now I got no comments to read. Trying to think if there's anything else I want to tell you guys about. Drifting comp. Clutch kickers this weekend. It's exciting because it's a really good layout for the Miata. It's an infield layout. So the Miata should be super solid there. We should be able to put more grip than we should be able to put all of the grip in it and still have enough power with the nitrous and the gearing and the speed of the track. The problem is I haven't driven but one time since last round, which all I was really doing was testing the nitrous. So I've done exactly what I criticize people for. You know, I'd see people get into competing and then they'd stop driving for fun. And I was like, man, what do you, like, you really think you're going to get better if you just stop driving for fun? Like, you get so little seat time at comps. You know, like, I always thought it was the silliest thing. And here I am doing the same thing, which the main reason is because I've been neck deep in building this car. And, yeah, so, like, I haven't driven, so I don't have super high expectations, and I might not have tires. That's a tough thing. Someone asked, is concerned about the strength of the bash bar. If you didn't know, drift cars' bash bars are designed to be crumple zones. The idea is that the bash bar will crush before you get into your more important stuff, like the frame rails. Like, if you saw the Cletus RTR Mustang, the bash bars are aluminum. They have aluminum bash bars for that reason. Granted, they have more room, so they have like a steel frame underneath that. But you don't want the bash bar to be too strong. Otherwise, it'll tweak everything else. I'd rather it mess up the intercooler than bend a frame rail, you know? So, yeah, hopefully we get the tires. That's really the biggest thing. And hopefully I still know how to drive, you know? I used to talk negatively about people that, that competed at a high level and didn't use sims. I'm like, basketball players practice all the time. Even professional basketball players practice hours a day. Like, how is the drift community not the type of people that practice? Like, we think we can just show up to a comp and that's the only time we're going to learn and progress? Like, it's so silly. But here I am doing the same thing. I'm being a total hypocrite. I haven't played the sim and I haven't driven. So, I don't know. Don't have super high hopes for this round. I always struggle with that. Like, maybe if I went into it with a lot of confidence, I would do better. But I always go into it like, it's not that I don't think I can do it. It's not that I'm unconfident or whatever. I'm just, I like to prepare for hope for the best, but expect the worst, right? So I go into it thinking, okay, maybe I'll get knocked out first battle. And then if I win a few battles, it's great. If I win the whole thing, like, it's super great. I'm not going into it thinking I'm going to go out there and win the whole thing. Did you gusset that turbo mount yet? Not yet. I will, though. I will. Forsberg butt-tuned his car the day of the comp. Yeah, I mean, I could do that. I could throw my car together, but I just don't. There's too much money into this car for me to risk, like, missing something. And the thing is, too, like, let's say I threw this car together this week. Let's say I didn't send the exhaust out. I just put the car together, let's go party. I could do it. It's totally doable. I could hack together the wiring, we could go. Well, not now. It's 2 days. But the problem is I'm going to be so focused on worrying about the car and watching the oil pressure and watching the air fuels and trying to check the data logs and checking this and checking that and the fluid and the noises that I'm not gonna be able to drive well at all. I'll either be too focused on driving and not pay enough attention to the car, potentially miss something, or be too focused on the car and not drive well. The Miata is a ripper. Like, the Miata is totally good enough, so it'll be fine, especially this round. It's a purely infill layout. Like, even if the vet was done and dialed, it wouldn't be a huge advantage at this particular layout. Someone said go to a learner's day. You ever pull the motor apart to make sure you didn't miss anything? I did on the Safiro. I was building the K-Series, and it's one of those things where you get in the zone, and that's when you, like, do some stuff, and then you think, like, you don't remember thinking about something. You don't necessarily remember not doing it, but you don't remember, like, the thought registering. And I couldn't remember if I checked to make sure that I put the last 2 piston rings right side up. And I debated it, and I debated it, and I pulled all the pistons back out. They were all right side up. Why can't the vet be running Pro Spec? So they're going to change. From what I understand, I need to check this. It's been a while since I've looked. But no pedal box and no aftermarket steering column, which to me is a very silly rule. And then no rear mount radiators coming soon, which like you couldn't build this car with a front radiator. Like you couldn't fit a radiator. So that's really the problem. Let's see. If you're looking into aviation for knowledge or inspiration. My dad was a pilot. He did private, he flew for an airline at some point. He flew a private jet at some point, and he had his pilot's license. So he was big on flying. But, you know, I want to get into it now. Like now that I'm older, I'd love to get like a Cub Cadet. I'd really like to get like an aerobatics plane. I think that would be way more fun. You know, that would be like the next step from drifting would be an aerobatics airplane. But they're expensive and you got to learn how to fly and stuff. But I do wish I had got more into flying before my dad, you know, was gone, because it would have been cool to talk to him about it. But I was like, you know, it was one of those things where I was just like, no, I'm not into it. I'm into cars, so never really showed interest. Do you need a scavenge tank for the turbo return? No, I double checked, even with dailies, the people who make the dry sump, they said it is totally fine the way it is, and they explained it all scientifically, which I figured it would be fine, but everyone, you know, that's one of those things. It's difficult. It's difficult to know what is someone who has experience and has tried something. Like, oh, I tried this and this happened to me, or what's just people that saw a video someone else made and they had a problem, so then they're telling you about that problem. And like the thing is too, those people have different setups. Like I'm returning to a dry sump pump, not running an inline electric pump that needs to be gravity fed to move the fluid. It's different. But according to dailies, tons of people run them like that. Everything's fine. So, what car are you bringing to Riverside? The Miata. Petition for Pro 1s into car is ridiculous. The car is definitely Pro 1 capable, I would say. I mean, not right now, right? It's got to be proven. It's got to be sorted and dialed and be reliable. But like as far as just the nuts and bolts of it, it would be should be a competitive Pro 1 car. But you know, I've got to prove to myself that and prove to everybody else that like it would be worth it. My friend's high 3-second door slammer car is doing the same scavenge, low turbos, no tanks or breathers. Thank you, Matt Happel. Always dropping the knowledge bomb. Yeah, from what I read, if you run 2 turbos, you really almost need 2 scavenge stages. So imagine going 210 in 3.9 seconds. Be pretty wild. All right, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up here soon. Any interest in electric cars? My stance on electric cars is I will not get an electric car until I have to. I did briefly think about buying a Model 3 Performance, like when I got into my whole kick about how I really want an F80 M3, but then I drove Ben's F80 M3, and I want that, so. But my thing with electric cars, same with like tube chassis stuff, is I'm not going to do it until I'm forced to. You know, I'm going to ride this wave as long as I can, because at some point in the probably not too distant future, we're not going to be able to do this stuff anymore. We're not going to be allowed. So it's tough. It's tough. But, dude, the electric car thing is killing me. Like, I'm getting letters from the power companies are like, you know, don't charge your car at this time and run your AC hotter. And I'm like, man, we're already overwhelming the power grid. Like, this is not good. But I did think about it for a brief moment. Thought about it. But F80 M3, that's what I want. But I have to get rid of the Pulsar first. That's my thing. I cannot get another car until I get rid of the Pulsar. I already don't drive the Pulsar. I haven't driven my green truck. Ever since I got the new truck, that's all I drive, because I'm an old man now. And I'm like, why would I drive that noisy thing when I could be in this comfy couch that I drive? But, you know, it's just one of those things. So, anyway, where is it listed? On Marketplace, Facebook Marketplace. I am going to put it on Bring a Trailer if nobody buys it off Marketplace. That's just me. I put it on Marketplace for me being impatient, because I wanted to buy F80 M3, and I want one so bad, because then me and Ben can go to the Dragon together. He went to the Dragon by himself after he got his. The cool thing about a car like that is like for us, you're so used to having to put so much effort into going and driving, like drifting. I've been prepping today for this event. I'm gonna spend all day tomorrow getting everything ready, and then like drive to the track, and it's just this. There's a whole process to go drifting. Whereas like with a F80 M3, a car like that could literally say tomorrow, book a Airbnb, drive to the Dragon, go rip the Dragon all weekend, just put fuel in it, and drive home. Like so effortless. So I really want one bad. I want to go to the Dragon. Where was it? As Chassis Eddie said, he was $5 for a beer. I don't drink, or coffee, or treats for Sandy. I'll go to treats for Sandy. More K-Swap Zafiro content coming soon. Wrapping up a Miata build myself. Oh, interesting. The plan, I mean, once the shop's done, which is very close, I'm going to go look at the wiring as soon as I end this, actually, or the lights. Once the shop's done, we'll finalize the permit. Then I'm going to put the ACs in first, get the ACs wired so I can put the second lift up with the AC on. Brain power. But once we have 2 lifts, it'll be so much easier. Because like I could be working on this car and have the Zafiro on the lift. And like Josue could work on something if we needed to. It's gonna be amazing. Still no internet ran to it. Not yet. We're gonna do that. Taylor, love your videos. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Mark. Okay. Our Miata harnesses expired. They are, but it isn't. They are expired though. I should probably swap them. I have some new ones. If you tune it, make sure you do the crank up. So that's a tough thing for me with the F80. It's like the car guy in me wants to tune it, but the other part of me wants to leave it just bone stock and beat the crap out of it the way the OEM intended. But it's like I'd want to get rid of the cats and stuff because I know that's just choking it and hurting it. Not even for the more power. I don't think it needs more power for what I want to do with it, but it's tough. Masa Taylor has no internet in the shop. Japanese. But yeah, so that's tough. Me and Ben have had this discussion. Like, I don't know if I would tune it or not. I really don't know. And I definitely don't want to buy one that's already tuned unless it's a really good deal. I found a really good deal on a rebuilt title one, but I have to wait until until I sell the Pulsar before I buy any new cars. What's the initial power target for that? Whatever it makes. If it makes 1100, then A1. If it makes 700, it's probably broken, but that's fine too. Would you come to the E-Town Gambler? Yes, I will. I want to come up to that. I do need to check, do they have a rule against quick changes? I know they have a rule against no pro cars, which it's not a pro car, but I don't know if they have rules on quick changes. Okay, I need to go eat food. Thank you guys for sticking around. This was fun. I keep pressing the wrong thing. I will see you next time. I'll see you after Clutch Kickers. I might have a video up between. I probably won't have time to edit the Miata video, but got some stuff to do. So upgrades for the Miata, a bunch of upgrades, small stuff, but I'm excited about it. And then / a shop update. You'll see the lights, the outside lights. We did outside lights and cameras. It's been pretty cool. And then vet wiring video. I gotta wait for that. Thank you, Matt Apple. Matt Apple always saves the day. Go subscribe to Sloppy Mechanics. He's the reason he was really like the motivation behind the Miata, like the way I built it originally, doing the basic cam, and I learned a lot from Matt Apple. So you should go watch his channel. HelloFresh is the jam. You're the best too. Thanks, Tim. HelloFresh is really good. Sandy is still alive. Shout out to Matt Apple for everything. He listens to my questions. He pops in and helps remote tune. I suck at like updating. Like my Terminator software was way out of date, and he like did some crazy widgetry and updated it. He's great. So anyway, on that note, I keep clicking the wrong button. Goodbye. Thank you guys. I will see you next time. This was fun. See you next week. See you next fall. I'll be here all day doing the same thing. What is that?